Hello, James.
It is halfway through Skyfall that we finally get to meet the main villain, Silver, played by Javier Bardem. It is a fantastic scene that is also very helpful in beginning to understand the age-old question, why does God allow suffering? Now, before I get into my analysis, it goes without saying that any biblical correlations I draw to this film are not infallible. If you really want to know the heart and mind of God, then your best bet is to probably start with the good book, the Bible, not a movie about a super spy with a license to kill. However, there are some correlations that are quite useful, as I said, to our understanding of biblical principles. With that in mind, let's get into it. At the heart of the film is a story about a surrogate mother-son relationship, that between M, the mother, and Bond, the son. At the start of the film, M is forced to make a choice which ultimately leads to Bond being shot and nearly killed. While Bond seems content for a while, allowing the world to believe he is dead, it doesn't take long for him to come out of hiding and get back into action. And while he initially carries some anger or resentment towards M for making the call that almost killed him, he ultimately realises that she did so for the greater good. He still trusts her and he's still on her side. That trust is built on the acceptance that M knows things that he can't. She gets to see the bigger picture as a result of the position that she is in. Likewise, we always have to remember that God gets to see the bigger picture. He does not cause bad things to happen. They happen simply because of the fallen world we live in, sometimes even because of our very own actions. But God might allow us to go through something so that a greater good might be achieved. This is where trust comes in. In the same way that Bond trusts M, so we too need to learn to trust in God. This relationship shows us that we always have a choice. Do we get bitter or do we get better? In the case of Bardem's Silver, we get to see the results of bitterness. Silver is the opposite side of the same coin to Bond. He was once a 00 agent and, like Bond, he was allowed into a situation that caused him great pain. He was chosen by M to be taken prisoner by an enemy force in order to secure the release of other prisoners. The reason M chose him is that he was already a corrupt agent, carrying out missions that had not been authorised. He had abandoned his own agency long before they had abandoned him. Of course, this is not how Silver sees it. All he can think about is his own pain. He is a man who was and whom is still devoted only to himself. He refuses to accept any blame or responsibility for his own actions. This is why he is all too willing to subscribe to the nature-nurture debate, which he sums up in a story he tells Bond about how best to change the nature of rats. The basic gist is that you can change a rat's nature by the way that you treat it. Silver blames M entirely for his nature.
Look upon your work, Mala.
This absolves him of free will, of having the responsibility to make the right choices. It allows him the luxury of acting only on impulse, with anger and revenge being his driving forces. Likewise, if we believe that God is to blame for the hardships of life, then it becomes all too easy to accept no responsibility for the choices we make.
This is what you made us.
I made my own choices.
You think you did?
Silver tries to convince Bond to carry out his own missions, to work for himself and break away from M. But Bond is not swayed by Silver, no matter how ugly a picture he tries to paint of them. Instead, he dismisses Silver's ideas and proposals.
Well, everybody needs a hobby.
So what's yours?
Resurrection.
This exchange is the key to understanding Bond's mindset. The reason that he is ultimately the better agent is precisely because he embraces his pain. He accepts it as a reality of what he does. It is a fact of life. M never promises Bond that his job will be easy. Likewise, we are never promised an easy ride as a result of following God. In fact, quite the opposite. As Jesus says in Luke chapter 9, verse 23, Whoever wants to be my disciple must deny themselves and take up their cross daily and follow me. Resurrection can only come after death, not before. We can know that while God is not responsible for causing our pain, He is there with us when we go through it, just as He too went through it when He was nailed to the cross. In those moments, what will you do? Will you blame Him or will you turn to Him? Will you choose to go your own way or will you seek the path He has laid out for you?